Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So I just watched the NWA film and I am so sad. It's a film about the group NWA and at the end they pay homage to Eazy-E and he passed away from AIDS. That's what they say. And it was a really good movie. I've seen it before, but the ending always gets me, because it's based on a true story. And looking back and when they were so young and they were, creating all that good music and stuff, and seeing that, one of the prominent members isn't here anymore, it was kind of sad, but it was a good movie. I'll probably watch it again in the future. But anyway, what's on my mind today is school for your children. So, my daughter, she goes to public school. Now, in kindergarten, she went to private school. We sent her to a private school. The private school was conveniently located down the street from us, about, I'd say maybe 10 minutes away. And my nephew went there too. He was 2 grades ahead, no, 3 grades ahead of my daughter. So when she was in kindergarten, he was in the third grade there. And I liked that school. I liked it because it was smaller. This school does have two other locations. This is one of the smaller campuses, and I liked it. The tuition wasn't too expensive. We were able to pay for it. The teacher was just okay. I put it that way. She was just okay. I think that she would be more suitable in a middle school classroom, not kindergarten. I feel like kindergarten teachers should be more bubbly and, you know, different personality. She was more like just I don't know what the word is, like just like nonchalant, not bubbly, opposite of bubbly, opposite of all that. But she was alright, I guess. So, the reason why my daughter doesn't go there anymore, or my nephew, is because that particular location ended up closing. They say because they didn't get enough tuition money. So, and I don't know like how true that is. I mean, that's what they say. I don't be believing everything everybody say, obviously. I just say I don't allegedly, he passed away from AIDS. I'm like, no, who knows? But the school said allegedly they closed because of low enrollment. And it was very sad. It was surprising to me because they like sent us an email late, like it was during a weekday, and I had picked my daughter up from school about 3 o'clock, and then at 4 o'clock, everybody who had email at the school received an email from the school saying that there was going to be an immediate mandatory meeting that they wanted everybody to get on. And so we did, and that's when they announced it. And I was like, oh man, my sister, she was on there, and we were texting each other like, oh, what are we gonna do? So my sister, she immediately signed him up, my nephew up to go to another campus. And, we considered keeping her in that school because I did like the school. It was a Christian-based school, and what I really liked about it was that, she was in an environment where she was able to learn about Christ because, we are followers of Christ, and it was just nice that they implemented that in everything that they did. And even still to this day, that foundation still carries on with her. Like she still has very good memory of a lot of the Bible stories. Like whenever I do Bible lessons with her, I'll say, "Okay, so what do you remember about Adam and Eve?" And she'll tell me. Or what do you remember about the story of Moses? And she'll tell me, and I'm like, "Girl, you are on it." And let me tell you, I do not do those Bible study lessons as often as I should, but she remembers, and so I do like that about the school. Now, there were some things I did not like about the school. Along with the tuition, we had to pay for pretty much everything else, and it was expensive. Now, I know, of course, some not all schools have free lunch, This school did not, of course, and the lunch was $4.50 per day. And that was a lot, it's like almost $5 a day. I'm like, dang, it's about as much as a Happy Meal. And it's not like the food was top notch and they were getting different type of cuisines. It was regular school lunch food. And then there were other things like expensive field trips. Um, they were specific on the school supplies that we needed to purchase before school. Like we couldn't just get no regular number two pencils from Dollar Tree or Dollar Store or anywhere like that. They had to be, I forgot what the brand name was, but it was like a $14 pack of pencils. And I'm like, why these? And then like when it came to the mats, because they take naps in kindergarten, had to be a specific mat. And mat was like 30 something dollars. I'm like, and I emailed, I was like, does it have to be this kind of mat? They were like, yeah, it has to be this one, heavy duty, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude. So with, that, there was another thing. And then another thing was like if I came or anybody who picked my daughter up, which it did happen from time to time with me, my husband, and my mother-in-law, um, because we three were on a list to pick my daughter up from school. And if you were late, even just 5 minutes, you had to pay a $20 fee for that because she had to go to what they call after school care. And there was a $20 charge for that. And I'm like, dang, like even if I'm just like 5 minutes, like one time I called and I didn't get charged that time, but I mean, another time I called and I still got charged. And I'm like, goodness. So there was all of that. And excuse me, I have a little bit of congestion going on. But, those things I did not like the extra fees. And then also the curriculum, it really wasn't that challenging to me. Like they started from the basics, like ABCs. And she already knew her ABCs, colors, shapes, how to write her name, all that stuff. So there really wasn't much of a challenge there. And that's something that my sister is struggling with right now because my nephew, he's in the fourth grade and he is at the top of his class. And I'm not just saying that because he's my nephew, but the teachers actually have said that he is at the top of his class because the work isn't challenging for him. And so my sister is looking into other schools actually right now because they're like, if we're going to be paying this money and having him in this private school, we want to get our money's worth. So they're actually looking into another Christian public private school, but the tuition is a lot cheaper, like half of that. So, like I said, we were thinking about sending her to the other one of the other campuses. We live in the northern part of Kentucky, and Indiana's like right across the bridge from us, like 15 minutes away, and they have a campus there in southern Indiana. But I was like, no, I don't want to really travel back and forth on the bridge every day. And that's just too much. And there are tolls that we have to pay as well. And then there are bridges that don't have tolls, but those always get shut down. I don't like to keep crossing the bridge. I just don't like to drive across bridges. I don't know. What do y'all think? Y'all like to cross bridges? I don't. But that school, they were offering the same amount of tuition at the school that we were at. And yeah, we just didn't do that. And then the other location, which is where my sister sent her nephew, that tuition was more expensive. Now, I've been to that campus before. I used to work for the public school system here in my city, and I worked in the ESL department, English as second language, and they had affiliations with the private school. And I had to take a box there one time. It was like some supplies or something, and I went to that campus and it was nice. It was like a mini like private college or something campus, like smaller of course, but it was nice, very nice. And I was like, man, I can see my daughter going here. But yeah, that didn't happen because it was just too expensive. So now she goes to a public school and let me back it up. So before she went to the public school, we were actually going to send her to another Christian private school. That tuition was either a little bit more, like a little bit less. I'm talking like $50 more or less. And she got accepted into that school. We had met with the principal. She had did her assessments, all that stuff. Everything checked out good. Talked to the principal. The principal saying, she already knew the situation because it was on the news with the school closing. And she was telling us that there were a lot of students from that school that were going to be going to that school. And she said, "So, do y'all know anyone?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know all the students that were in her class. I named them all off." And she was like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be here." She was like, "I'll make sure that they get into the same classroom." I was like, "Okay, cool." Now, this whole time I was thinking like, okay, well, she's accepted into there, but I was still trying to debate if we should have her go to the public school because, like I said, the tuition wasn't that expensive, but we could pay for it. And there is a difference between being able to pay for something and being able to afford something, okay? When you can pay for something, that means that you have the money and you can pay for it, or even the credit, okay? Because we did put a lot of stuff on credit. And then to be able to afford it means that you can pay for it and it won't hurt you. Like you have extra money somewhere else. And it's like if you have $100 and something costs $30, and but you have $1,000 in the savings account, then you can afford this $30 rug or something like that, versus you have $100 and this rug costs $100 and you have $100 in your savings. You probably shouldn't get the rug because you're going to be having to use your savings for everything else, right? So we really couldn't afford it. But I was just like, I don't know about public schools. Like I've heard so much stuff, and if you go online, people sometimes like dang near shame you for sending your child to a public school. And people are like, oh no, don't send your child to a public school because of all the stuff that the public school is doing, like trying to teach the young children about their sexuality and all that. And I get that. I don't like that either. And I have a story about that actually in my daughter's current school. But I'm like, sometimes it just works out better for some people who can't afford private school and who cannot homeschool. So, I did a lot of prayer about that, and we applied for a traditional school. And it's weird, like when you apply for the schools in our public school system, whatever school you want your child to go to the most, you need to put that as number one, and they may or may not get in. And we had three schools that we were looking at for our daughter. One was traditional, one was like magnet or something like that. It was like one of them special schools. And another one was like a K through 12 school. And I was like, I don't know which one to pick. But they said whichever one you could put two choices down, number one and number two. But on the site, it actually said if you choose the school that you want them to go to and you put that at the number two line, they're probably not going to get in. So whatever school you really, really want them to get in, put that as number one. So we did, and we got a letter back a few weeks after that saying that she did not get in because they were filled to capacity. But they said that she would be on the list in case of spot open up. So I was waiting on that, and did get a phone call maybe 3 weeks before school started, and it was the secretary of the school, and he was like, "A spot opened up, and do you want your child to go here?" And I was like, hold on, let me see. I was in the house. My husband was outside in the garage, so I ran out there to him, and I was like, "This is the school. What do you want to do?" Now, keep in mind, she was already accepted into the other private school. And he was like, "It's up to you, whatever you want to do." So I said yes, and I was just so nervous because I'm like, I just want this to be a good school, right? You want your child to be in good hands when they leave your house, right? If they have to. So she got accepted into the school. And, of course, I said, again, I prayed about it and I talked to my family about it. And we were like, well, if she doesn't do well at the school, if there's an issue, we can always do like a hardship transfer in the middle of the school year or just pull her out, and send her to the other private school that we were going to send her to because she did get accepted in there. Or maybe if you have to do it, homeschool. Now, I work full time. My husband works full time. So it would be very hard for me to homeschool because I would have to literally quit my job in order to do that. And I have a cousin who homeschools her son. He's 3, so it's like preschool right now. And it works out for her because her child, she said, is on the spectrum from autism. And he can communicate, but he doesn't communicate as much as he should be, or something like that. And so it works out for her. And she doesn't work, she's at home. And she used to be a substitute teacher, so she has some of that foundation of being a teacher. And her husband, they're very traditional. So he wanted her at home and homeschooling the children that they have. She has a son right now, um, but that's what he wants. And so it's working out great for them. And she is a homeschool advocate, okay? Like big time. And I think that's great. But, and honestly, I'm like, even if I could do it, would I do it? I don't know. Because like my daughter came home earlier this week from school, and this school, it's good. I like it. The teacher, I like her better than the other teacher. She's just okay. I don't know if I'll ever have a teacher, well, my daughter will ever have a teacher that I'm like, oh, I love this teacher. I don't know. Me, I'm just like, yeah, they they ain't me, right? I feel like I can be a better teacher. Because we did like a lot of, I call it circle time with her, and I actually got that from my sister, and just a lot of learning before she was in school. Like I said, she knew her ABCs, her numbers, shapes, all of that. Like she was doing math problems um, before she even went to kindergarten. So she's very, very smart. But this school, I like it. It's good, and they have different special areas like music, art, PE, and then STEM lab. And this week is STEM lab, and they do alternate those special areas by week. So 1 week STEM lab, 1 week PE, 1 week music, etc. And they made a kite this week in STEM lab, which was really cool. And then they made one of those like little fan thingies, like the stick with the fan on there, and it blows in the wind. I don't know what's called, like a wind catcher or wind something. They made that. And so I'm like, that is really cool. That's really good. I love it when they do stuff like that because my daughter is very creative. And I'm like, if I was a homeschool mom, would I be doing stuff like that? I don't know. Like, I have she's 6, and then I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. Like, she just turned 1. So the household is very busy. And I'm like, I don't know if I would have the capacity to be doing all that stuff as a homeschool mom. Now, they do have the co-ed homeschool things, but I don't even like really leaving my house with all these children. I really don't. I do grocery pickup. I would do have it delivered, but it's $5, so I'm trying to save every penny that we have. Like I do pick up at every store. I really don't go into stores, and if I do, I'm by myself. Because I do work remote for most of the week, but I do go into the office 2 days a week, and I do like that. I ain't going for it because it's a lot being at home with the children, especially 3, and especially 3 of them at this young age. So when I go to work on those 2 days, it's like a little break for me mentally. And my mother-in-law, God bless her, she comes over and watches the children. So I do enjoy my time um, away from them for a little while. And of course, I always miss them. But yes, I think that all moms need to have some type of break like that. But anyway, yeah, my daughter, she has, I like the school that she's at. And another thing that I like about that school, free lunch, okay? Like completely free. Like some people say, no such thing as free lunch. Oh yeah, she got free lunch every day free lunch, okay? School field trips, they're not that expensive, like under $20. And then they even provide lunch for them if you want, or you can like have your own lunch for free. At the other school, you have to pay. And I get it, private school, I know they don't get like what is it, government funding, state funding, whatever the funding that public schools get. And so they have to pay the teachers. They got to, fund those things that they have to keep the school going. So I understand the fees and all that, but it's just like, dang, it's a lot. It's just, it's a lot of keep reaching in my pocket and paying for this, paying for that when you ain't got it, especially. But also at this school, some field trips are free. Like you got a field trip coming up at the end of the year and totally free, everything. Um, and it feels like they just do more stuff. Like the curriculum is even, I think, a little bit more challenging for her. Like they are really like teaching them, and they're, uh, they're strict as well with the like uniform and things like that, because it is a traditional school and with responsibilities and respect. So they have good principals at the school. The only thing that I don't like, there was a book that she checked out, and it was one of them books with the LGBT, whatever, whatever. She didn't know. This was during Valentine's Day. It was a colorful book. She's a child. She's gonna gravitate to that, right? And it's so evil. And so she checked out this book. On the front cover, it looked like a little boy, and he was holding. It looked like a little boy holding a heart, and then it was a little girl like in the background, like oh. And so my husband, he reads to them at night, and he must have sensed something was off about this book just by looking at it. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes you just have to. Okay. And so he read the synopsis and he was like, read this book, read the synopsis. And so I did. And I was like, nope. And so we told our daughter, like, we can't read this book to you. And the reason why is because blah, 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 blah. And we tried to explain it to her as well as we could to a 6-year-old. And I think she understood. And so we said, just take us back. And we asked her, like, is there an area in the library with like colorful flags? And she was like, yeah, but, talk to a 6-year-old. It's like, talk to a 6-year-old, okay? If you know, you know. And we would just told her, like, don't get no books over there. Just try to stick to books that look normal. Like, I don't know. I mean, it sucks because I'm like, I'm not there with her. And I almost took her off the list of getting books. But my husband was like, no, don't do that. We'll just have to keep talking to her. But, I didn't like that. But it is in the schools. And like I said, I heard about it and all that, but I just never thought that, I guess, it would happen to us, what they say. I never thought it would happen to me. And so it did, but I think she understood. So I don't like that about the public schools, and there's no foundation in Christ. But I do try to teach her at home. Like I said, I try to do the Bible study lessons. I don't do them as often as I should, but I try to um, at least once a day or a few times a week. I try to. And like I said, she still has a lot of good memory about it. And honestly, when it comes to homeschooling, I don't even think that she would be, I think she'd be okay with homeschool, but she really seems to do well in a group setting. She likes to have her friends, she likes to be out, do recess. She likes just the structure of school, being in school. She likes it. Like I asked her today, I was like, "You like school?" She was like, "I really like school." She's like, "I was so excited to go to school this morning. Like I went into her room this morning and she was already up and she was ready." And so I'm like, thank God. I'm so thankful for that. And then my other daughter, I think she's gonna like school too, because when I drop her off, my oldest one, she wants to get out with her and go to school. So I think they're gonna be all right. Now I like homeschool because of course you're the parent, you're teaching your child, you're shaping them, molding them. They're not in an environment where they can be influenced by a lot of different things, because they are in at home. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. Um, I think that if you can, and if your child if that's best for your child, I think that that you should do it. I guess my question is, what do y'all think? Public school, private school, or homeschool? You know, I don't shame anyone for whatever choice you make. I ain't gonna say, "Oh, you bougie," if you send your child to private school. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, you shouldn't send your child to public school. They're gonna be influenced and turn out." weird or anything like that. I'm not gonna say, oh, your child's gonna be a weird social person because you're homeschooling them. They're not gonna know how to be amongst other people. I'm not gonna say that either. To me, I think that the decision is based off of what's best for your family and what's best for your child. If you can afford private school, do private school if that's what you want to do and if you feel like that's best for your child. Public school, it ain't did us wrong much yet. And homeschool, like I said, I did a little bit of that. I mean, I guess you can say that when she before she went to school, and it was great, you know. And there's good things to each, and then there are bad things to each, or maybe I say challenging things for each. But yeah, when it comes down to it, I think it's just like whatever is best for your family and for your child. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Just this. Let's see, which one do y'all think is the best? Do you think there is one that's best, or do you think that, do you agree with me that it just depends? I like to know. And where do you send your child? Is your child in public school, private school, homeschool? Do you want to change it? Any experiences that you all may have had, good or bad, with any of them? Just let me know because, things could change. Right now, like I said, she's in public school, but things could change. We never know. But right now, I just pray that things stay the same because I do like the school. It's like 5 minutes away from us, literally. So God is just really good. He has just blessed us, and I'm just thankful for where she's at right now. She's got some good friends. I've met some good parents, okay? Like this one lady, we have so much in common. It's crazy. Like crazy for real. Like down to she just had a daughter. She has three girls. I have three girls. And she just named her daughter, who was just born a month ago, a name that I was gonna name our most recent daughter. Like we have a lot in common. But anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think and we can talk about it. Let's chat. All right. See y'all later.